Hey there, I'm Adriana and welcome back to my YouTube channel, the place to improve your English, to boost your confidence, to finally become a confident English speaker. Guys, if you'd like to progress from an intermediate to an advanced English speaker, to better express yourself in English, to use a wide range of vocabulary, and to have more meaningful conversations in English, you need to stop using the word very, overusing the word very when speaking and writing in English. Look, I know many English speakers, me myself included, at times we overuse the word very. This is normal, but we do know other ways of expressing ourselves, various adjectives we can use instead of the word very. This is especially important if you are writing essays, communicating in written form, if you are emailing people, because by using a wide range of vocabulary, you are able to better express yourself, convey your meaning, and have more meaningful conversations in English. The word very itself is a very weak word. All it does is magnify the adjective that comes after it. The English language is full of other adjectives you can use. Why not use them to better communicate and express yourself in English? Now, this is exactly what we'll be learning in this video lesson. I will teach you how to stop using the word very and teach you 50 other words you can use instead of using the word very when speaking and writing in English. Now, before we begin with this lesson, I would love to know what type of lessons would you like to see here on my YouTube channel. If you love vocabulary lessons and would like more vocabulary lessons, make sure to hit the like button so that I know that you enjoyed these type of lessons, and leave me a comment in the comments below this video telling me exactly what type of lessons you would love to see here on my YouTube channel. Also, make sure to have a pen and paper at hand so that you can take down some notes. Make sure to watch this whole video lesson, as throughout this lesson I'll also be giving you tips and tricks to help you better remember all these other ways of saying very in English. At the end of this video lesson, I'll be sharing with you also a free guide to help you better remember and use words when speaking in English. Okay, but let's get on to it. Let's begin with the first word. Now, instead of saying that somebody is very strong, you could use the adjective forceful. Forceful. For example, she was very forceful with her actions. If you are very busy at work, instead of saying very busy, you could use the adjective swamped. Swamped. I'm swamped at work. I'm swamped at work. Now, if you're in a room and it's very bright, instead of saying very bright, you could use the adjective luminous. Luminous. The room is very luminous. If you're the type of person that you're very careful, instead of describing yourself as being very careful, you could say that you're a cautious person. For example, I'm very cautious. I'm very cautious. Careful pronunciation, cautious. Cautious. If something is very clear, for example, a fact or a message, instead of saying it's very clear, you could use the adjective obvious. Obvious. For example, it was obvious that she was angry at me. It was obvious that she was angry at me. If you're in a room and it's very colorful, there's a lot of color, instead of describing the room as being very colorful, you could use the adjective vibrant. 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 The room was vibrant. The room was vibrant. If you're feeling confused, very confused, instead of using very confused, you could replace this with the word perplexed. Perplexed. I'm feeling quite perplexed. I'm feeling quite perplexed. If someone is very mean, they're not a nice person, instead of saying that they're very mean, you could use the word cruel. Cruel. This is a tricky one to pronounce. Listen and repeat at the same time out loud as me. Cruel. He was very cruel. He was very cruel. But maybe the guy changed and he was really, really nice. He was very nice. Instead of saying he was very nice, you could use the word kind. Kind. He was very kind to me. He was very kind to me. If you would like to describe that you do something often, very often, instead of saying very often, you could use the word frequently. Frequently. For example, I frequently go to the gym. I frequently go to the gym. If you'd like to describe that something is very old, it's very old, you could use the adjective ancient. Ancient. Okay, ancient is very colloquial. It's used in informal situation. So don't use this in situations where you're not in a friendly atmosphere. For example, oh, that book was ancient, or it'd be better to say it was very old. But in an informal setting, ancient is fantastic. If you're describing that somebody is very open, so they're open, you can read them well, instead of saying that they're very open, you could use the adjective transparent. Transparent. For example, Mary was quite transparent. Mary was quite transparent. If you find something to be very good, instead of saying very good, you could use the word excellent. Excellent. For example, I had an excellent meal yesterday. I had an excellent meal yesterday. If you'd like to express that you're very happy about a situation or an event, you could use the word ecstatic. Ecstatic. For example, I'm ecstatic to meet you tomorrow. I'm ecstatic to meet you tomorrow. But if something's very, very bad, instead of saying it's very bad, you could use the word awful. Awful. For example, I received some awful news yesterday. If you think that somebody is very smart, instead of saying they're very smart, you could use the adjective intelligent. Intelligent. Mary's quite intelligent. If you're feeling very sad, instead of saying you're very sad, you could use the adjective upset. For example, I was upset you didn't call yesterday. I was upset you didn't call yesterday. But if you feel very upset, so you have sad, then you have upset, and then we have distraught. So if you want to describe that you feel very, very upset, instead of saying very upset, we could use the word distraught. I was distraught that you didn't call yesterday. So just looking at this again, we have sad, we have upset, and we have distraught. So distraught is very, very upset, and upset is very sad. Now, if you feel cold, but you feel very cold, instead of saying very cold, you could use the word freezing. For example, I'm freezing, it's -10 outside. I'm freezing, it's -10 outside. But if it's very hot where you are, I feel so jealous, it's very cold where I am at the moment. If it's very hot where you are at the moment, you could use an adjective, it's boiling, it's boiling. This is a great word to be using in conversational English, but in a more formal setting, you could use a word, it's hot. It's hot outside. Now, if you feel very weak, you don't feel fit, maybe you can't walk, you don't feel healthy, instead of saying I feel very weak, you could use the word frail. Frail. I feel frail today. I feel frail today. Now, if you're very hungry, I use this adjective quite often. Instead of saying I'm very hungry, I'd most often say I'm starving. I'm starving. Now, if you feel very hurt, maybe somebody's hurt you emotionally or physically. I really hope nobody does this to you. But if you feel very, very hurt, instead of saying very hurt, you could use the adjective battered. 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 I feel battered today. I feel battered today. Now, if something's very important, maybe a task or a meeting, instead of saying that it's very important, you could use the adjective crucial. Crucial. The meeting was crucial for me to attend. The meeting was crucial for me to attend. Now, if you know somebody who is very intelligent, they're very smart, instead of saying they're very intelligent, you could say they're brilliant or they're bright. Again, brilliant or bright. For example, my cousin Bob is brilliant, or my cousin Bob is very bright. If you find something or someone interesting, instead of saying that they are very interesting, you could use the word captivating. Captivating. For example, my friend Mary, she's got such a captivating personality. She's got such a captivating personality. If something is very large, we don't use this to talk about people, but if we're talking about objects or things, if it's very large, you could use the adjective huge. Huge instead of very large. For example, that was a huge building. That was a huge building. But if something is very, very little, it's very little, you could use the adjective tiny. Tiny. That's a tiny pen. That's a tiny pen. Now, if something's very long, for example, an essay, instead of saying it's very long, you could use the adjective extensive. Extensive. For example, extensive research was done into XYZ. Now, if something is very smooth, it's delicate, instead of saying it's very smooth, you could use the adjective sleek. Sleek. For example, your couch is sleek. Your couch is sleek. If you feel very sorry about something maybe you've done, or somebody feels very sorry, instead of saying very sorry, you could use the adjective apologetic. Apologetic. For example, Mary was very apologetic yesterday about her actions. Now, apologetic is a little bit more formal than very sorry. This is great to be using in a formal situation. If something is very special, it's very special to you, or it's very special in general, you could use the word exceptional. Exceptional. For example, that document was of exceptional importance to me. If you are very sure of a fact or a thing, instead of saying, I'm very sure that I'm going to attend tomorrow's meeting, you could say, I am certain that I'll be attending tomorrow's meeting. I am certain. If you'd like to express that you're very angry, maybe you're very angry at your neighbor. Instead of saying you're very angry, you could use the adjective furious. Furious. I'm furious at my neighbors. I'm furious at my neighbors. If you'd like to say that somebody or something is very beautiful, you could use the word gorgeous. Gorgeous. I love this word. I use it a lot to describe females and males alike. They're gorgeous. She's gorgeous. He's gorgeous. If something is very big, it's bigger than huge, you could use the adjective massive. Massive. So we have big, huge, and massive. Instead of saying very, very, very big, the house was massive. If you find somebody to be really boring, very boring, instead of saying they're a very boring person, you could say they are dull. Or, for example, Bob has a dull character. This is also a little bit more politically correct and it sounds nicer. Great to be using in a formal situation. If you want to describe that somebody is very boring, you could say they are dull. If you're in a room and it's very noisy, it's very loud, it's very noisy, you could use the word deafening. For example, the music in the room was deafening. The music in the room was deafening. If you would like to say that somebody is very creative, instead of saying that they are very creative, you can use the word innovative. Innovative. For example, Mary is quite innovative in what she does at work. If you're in a cafe and it's very crowded, so there's a lot of people there, and you want to say it's very crowded, you could use the word bustling to describe that it is crowded. There's a lot of people there. For example, the cafe was bustling with people. The cafe was bustling with people. If something is very dear to you, so you hold it in a nice place in your heart and you really care about it, instead of saying this maybe pen is very dear to me, you could say I cherish this pen. I cherish this pen, because maybe it has some sentimental value to you. If you'd like to describe that somebody is very cheap, so maybe you go out and, I don't know, they don't want to buy you a cup of coffee, or they look and they analyze every cent that you pay for everything. Instead of saying that that person is cheap or very cheap, you could use the adjective stingy. Stingy. For example, I don't like going out for coffee with Mary, she's just so stingy. If you'd like to describe that a room is clean, it's very, very clean, you could use the adjective spotless. Spotless. The whole room was spotless when I came in. Finally, if you'd like to describe that somebody is very quick, they're very quick, instead of saying this, you could use the word rapid. They were rapid to react to the problem. They were rapid to react to the problem. Okay, so we're at the end, but it's one thing to watch this video lesson, and it's another thing to really remember and to use these words when speaking and communicating in English. In order to better remember these words and phrases we've gone through in this lesson, it's very important to follow the next 2 steps. First step is to choose 5 words from this video lesson and to use them in a sentence in the comments below. By creating sentences, examples, using these words in situations relevant to you, this will help you better remember and, most importantly, use these new adjectives when speaking in English. The second step is to download my free guide where I will teach you exactly how you can learn and remember words when speaking in English on a daily basis. Remember guys, it's the small daily steps that you take today that will help you drastically improve your confidence speaking in English. Thank you guys for being here on my YouTube channel and for learning English with me here. If you found this video lesson useful, make sure to hit that like button so that I know that you want future lessons on this topic, and make sure to subscribe and turn the notification bell on so that you get notified so that you know when I post my next video lesson. Thank you for watching. I'm wishing you all a lovely day and see you next time. Bye for now.